It's 2022, and there's now 13 different models of A-Class to choose from. There's then multiple different trim levels, packages, and individual options. It's all just become very confusing. So, which one do you pick? What's the one you actually need, and what one would actually be nice to live with? Well, I think I've found a pretty good one. Let me show you around it. My name's Tom, and you're watching Paragon Cars. Let's go. Before we start, please like, subscribe and hit the bell if you'd like us to keep bringing you this content. Also, don't forget to follow our socials for updates on our stock. Links in the description below. This is an A200. It sits at the lower end of the A-Class range, and with an engine that's been co-developed with the likes of Renault and Nissan, you might be thinking I've lost the plot. But hear me out, as this engine has so far not had any major issues in the hundreds of thousands of cars it's been in. The only real concern is carbon buildup, but that's just an inherent trait of direct injection, and can actually be cleaned anyway. So, why the A200? Well, it's a 4-cylinder, so it's smoother than a 3-cylinder, and even though it's the same engine as the A180, it's got a fair bit more power. 163 to be exact. And in terms of torque, there's 250 Nm of them. 0 to 60 can be done in 7.6 seconds with this DCT model, but let's see how she fares on the 30 to 70 sprint. Well, look at that, we managed a genuinely decent time of 7.03 seconds. That puts it just behind a 3-litre Range Rover Sport. In my mind, that's a perfect amount of power for a daily driver and actually good enough for a bit of fun on a B-road. Now, the inside is a pretty standard spec AMG line car, and is actually what people end up with when they buy an A-Class. The screens on the dash may be smaller, but they still look sharp and have a very good response time to your inputs. One very worthy upgrade the AMG line gets is these half leather, half Alcantara sport seats. They hold you in place a little better than the standard seats and just generally look quite a bit better in my opinion. Other cool features include a sunglasses holder and some very well designed cup holders. There's then some storage for your phone that can be upgraded to a wireless charger, at a cost to yourself of course. This one just has some extra storage. Moving further back to the rear, it actually has just enough room for an adult. The driver's seat is in my driving position, and as you can see it's no S-Class, but it's perfectly livable even over longer journeys. Headroom is also pretty good as well, even for people over 6 feet. Features wise, there is just 2 USB-C ports. It would be nice to see a bit more things back here, especially an armrest, although I'm sure you can probably pay Mercedes to put one in for you. Then the boot, it's much better than the previous generation, and that's not because it's 15 litres bigger. The shape is much squarer, so loading awkward items in is way easier. But if you need more than 355 litres of room, of course you can fold the seats down. This then gives you nearly 1200 litres, which is great for when you want a new TV. Okay, now we had a look around, let's have a drive around. Okay, so I just want to preface this video by saying I have actually driven a car very similar to this before, and that was the A180, which has got the same engine but it's got less power. And whilst it was perfectly fine for everyday use, you know, if you're pootling about around town, it had plenty of torque low down, but it was really missing that punch on the motorway. So it was trying to change through gears a lot. So it's going to be interesting to see if basically a different map for the engine will just help it out a bit. Another difference between that car and this one is that this is running on the AMG line comfort suspension. So it's pretty much the same suspension but lowered. But one thing I've noticed is that if you're going over those little humps in the road, you know, there's usually like 3 in a row, it will scrape over them, which isn't that great. So you do have to be a little bit careful. The good thing though is, when you're driving at a higher speed, I'm guessing it's going to be a little bit more stable and a little bit more predictable, and maybe even a little bit more fun on the twisties. But in terms of dynamics so far, the steering is very nice, it's very light. Not a lot of feel, but it's not exactly what you're going for with a car like this. You just want something that's easy. Right, use the gear selector on the steering column to go into reverse. That's one very neat thing Mercedes do with their cars. Then we've got a reverse camera. No parking sensors, but a reverse camera. Usually it's the other way around. But because the car's small, you don't really need parking sensors. But it is nice to have a reverse camera, because the view out the back, whilst it's fine, it doesn't allow you to see things like bollards. So having a reverse camera is actually pretty good. Plus, if I use this haptic touchpad down here, I can change to a wide view angle. So if I'm reversing off my driveway or something, it just means I can see oncoming traffic a bit easier. Driving around town though, you never have to have two hands on the steering wheel. It is so easy. Now, coming out of junctions, this is where that A180 wasn't that punchy. You felt it rev quite a lot. I'm going to give it half throttle, pretty much the same as I did with that car. And yeah, it's still revving out a little bit, but it's shifting up a little bit earlier. And that's the thing, you don't really want to hear that gruff engine noise. It's not as bad as a 3-cylinder, but as 4 cylinders go, it could be smoother in my mind. Anyway, let's reset the trip computer to see what MPG we get on the motorway. Theoretically, if we're not using the turbo, we should get the same as the A180. And that's around sort of 48, 50 miles per gallon, which for a 1.3 litre engine, you'd think it would do a little bit better than that. So I'm gonna drive it very carefully, and hopefully we can get into the 50s, because I do think an engine this small should really get that kind of economy. Of course, we've got to do that obligatory handling test, so let's see how it handles the roundabout. I managed to find the ESP switch on this, so put that into sports. Then I will put the car into sport as well. So I'll sharpen up the throttle, make the steering a little bit heavier, just make everything have a bit more weight to it. Put my foot down. Interesting. It's trying to give me a very sporty experience, banging into the limiter. But yeah, you can definitely feel the difference between this and A180. It's definitely got a lot more punch, especially when you get above about 5,000 RPM. You can really feel the difference then. In fact, all over the rev band it feels pretty different. Anyway, what's it like on the motorway? Well, I have to say, it is pretty good. There is not much road noise, which is good, especially for a hatchback of this size. It is quite a small car, so keeping the road noise low is pretty difficult. One thing I am noticing though is quite a bit of wind noise coming from this wing mirror. It's not as bad as other cars, things like Renaults, but it's not quite as good as an Audi A3. It's similar to a BMW really, but being Mercedes, it could be a little bit better. And in terms of visibility, yeah, it's very good. We've got thin A pillars, B pillars are easy to see around. Not much to complain about there. Anyway, the main thing you want the car to do on the motorway is just settle and relax. Everything to just be easy. Thankfully, the steering is still nice and light, and the suspension does settle down a lot on the motorway. And the next thing you want is for the engine to sit in one gear and one gear only. Thankfully, the added torque of this engine gives it just enough power to just sit in 7th gear unless you're going below 40 miles an hour. Then in terms of interior quality, thankfully this is pretty good. The previous A-Class was a little bit scratchy in places that you touch quite a lot. Basically what they've done is kept all the soft touch materials, Alcantara, added a bit of design to it, and then changed that scratchy plastic out with some slightly nicer piano black plastic. Now, it's not ideal, as piano black plastic scratches pretty easily, and over the course of, 6-7 years, it starts to look a bit nasty, but thankfully this one seems to be alright. Then in terms of seats, they've definitely improved the seating position. I've got enough room for my legs, and I can get the seat nice and low in the cabin, so I get that really pleasant cocooned feeling. Plus that also means I can rest my arms on the armrests. It's a very comfortable car over a long journey this. Plus there's a little extendable bit under your leg so you can get some extra under thigh support. And of course you can adjust the pitch of the base as well. So there is zero problems in terms of comfort. Now this car may look new, but it is 4 years old, so how has the interior fared? And does everything still work? Well, I'm happy to report all the electronics seem totally fine. There's no irritating interior rattles. Yeah, overall it seems like it's pretty solid still. But if I could improve this car, what would I choose in terms of spec? Well, if I could only choose 3 things. First thing would probably be upgrading to the larger screen on the dash. These are fine, they're still a perfectly good resolution, and they are all you need really, but it would be nice to have those slightly larger screens, as they do just really set the cabin off. The next thing would be heated seats. This car doesn't have it, and because the seats are Alcantara, again, you really don't need it. Even in winter, they don't feel that cold. It's very different from leather. Then the last thing would probably just be parking sensors. Having a reverse camera is great, but if you're edging your nose towards the front of a garage or someone else's car in a car park and you want to use every single inch of space, it's important to have something that you can rely on. Surprisingly though, I wouldn't upgrade the sound system in this. The one in this AMG line car is just the base model sound system, and it's perfectly good enough. It sounds good, it has plenty of volume, there's not too much distortion. Nothing really to complain about. It's not the best system in the world, of course it's not gonna be, but it still gets loud enough that I can enjoy music, and more importantly, it doesn't sound mushy when it does it. Look at that, very nice F12 there. That's our motorway stint over then. So how did we do? Let's have a look. 46.3. Oh, it's still going up, 47.1. Okay, that's a good figure. Overall, that is a good figure. But that's not much better than I can get in my Seat Leon Cupra. And that's like in a totally different league in terms of performance. Similar weight, similar tech inside, much quicker. But I reckon you might be able to get 51 out of this car. But to be honest, I really want to see 55 and above, especially when you're sacrificing quite a lot of power. Something like an A220 diesel is probably going to get near 70 or maybe even above 70. And for a petrol car like this to be worth it, it does need to do more than 50 mpg. Anyway, let's now destroy that figure and see how this A-Class handles some twisty roads. Okay, we've got the vehicle back in sports mode, ESP system switched off. Let's give it some. Safety understeer. Yeah, it's alright. It's a nice chassis balance though. As you can tell, this engine doesn't really like to be revved out. It kind of goes like, why? Don't do this. It will do it though. It's got a pretty nice pickup as well. Brakes feel good, nice and strong. Mercedes does brakes pretty well, I think. They always feel pretty reliable to me. It's got some pretty good mid-range punch. Feels more than 250 newton meters to me. Could just be the throttle mapping though. But once you're up to speed, it drives smoothly and it's got a nice flow to it. Whilst it's not prone to oversteer, it has a very neutral chassis. It's less understeery than an Audi is. Let's see if we can give it a little bit of a tap. Nah, it doesn't really want to do that. I reckon if you Scandi flick it, it'll go sideways, but anything goes sideways if you do that. It's a nice, safe chassis balance. Very predictable, doesn't do anything super unexpected. Steering has good feel as well. Never feel like you're going to lose control. It's exactly what you want out of a car like this. But even in third gear, give it a little bit of gas. It's got car's very nice pickup. You even get a little bit of a whoosh from the turbo. Dual clutch gearbox does a good job of shifting through the gears quickly. It's not quite as fast as something like a Golf R's gearbox, but still plenty quick enough. Even gives you a little bit of a jolt in the back. That's where this AMG line suspension really comes into its own as well. Going over big bumps back there, it just really feels controllable. It's a very predictable car to drive, this. And you can carry good speed through the corners. Put good tyres on this and it's pretty much as fast as a hot hatch, really. It's only when you're getting onto the faster stuff that you need more power. And the steering is just about fast enough that you're not doing a lot of wheel twirling. Turning circle's good as well. Okay, back the other way then. Let's give it a little sort of 0 to 60. Pretty much no wheel spin at all. There's 60. You can trail brake into a corner nicely. You can really feel that there's an A45S under there somewhere. The underpinnings are very good on this car. Very stable, predictable chassis. And you can plant your foot out the corner. You can use all the performance that this car's got to give. One final time then. Whilst it's not that fast, it's got a nice zippy engine. Steering I'm quite liking. Not a huge amount of feel, but it's direct. And you can get up to the national speed limit quickly in this. Over bumps, gives you plenty of confidence. Still no oversteer though. You need an AMG for that, really. Brake feel is nice. Doesn't understeer coming out of corners either. So, in conclusion then, yes, a 1.3 litre engine is enough. In fact, it's exactly what 99% of people actually need. It's pretty economical, and it's got a bit of character. The A200 is definitely the one I'd go for though, because whilst the A180 would be fine, it's nice to just have a bit more low-down grunt to get around with. As always, I hope you enjoyed this review. If you did, give it a like, and why not subscribe? As not only can you see more videos like this, you can also see all the stock we have for sale. My name's Tom, and you've been watching Paragon Cars. I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.